And welcome to Tiki Man and the Viking podcast. Hey, we are live at Oklahoma
Writers
Federation.
Incorporated
We meant to do that. Conference.
OWFI,
And we are here today with...
Dion Mayes-Burnett.
and she is the conference chair and a
Yes.
longtime friend of mine, and I adore her. What's it like to be a conference chair? What does it take to put together a conference of this size? It's a big scope. What'd you do?
Well, personally, I got to be the party girl. I went through, I did all the menus for the luncheons, the dinners. I arranged the party for all our volunteers, speakers, staff, and ordered all the appetizers, the drinks. You have to coordinate with the hotel a great deal.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
You're constantly in touch with them. We came for several meetings with Debbie to make sure our block of rooms was set aside, that we go over all the menus and what we're going to be doing, and all the rooms that we need to set aside, the ballrooms for all the sessions with the speakers. Vicki Malone Kennedy, who's our president, had to contact speakers and draw them in and get them to agree to come see us.
We were pushovers, by the way. She asked, we said, yeah, sure. So we were easy, okay?
Yeah, give us a room, let us talk.
Some aren't bad. It's kind of surprising how we actually ended up having to turn some away this year. We had so many, and we already ended up getting 30 people, which included agents, editors, publishers. We wanted to have a good variety so that people could promote their books and try and be seen by these people, and maybe taken into the fold and get their book published.
That's right. And one of the things that we talk about is you don't want to write in a vacuum. You want to have the ability to meet with other people, find people in your genre, share ideas. And that's what conferences are all about.
And sometimes it's not just finding people in your genre, just finding other writers. When you're around, there's that energy. Because look, Viking and Tiki Man, we write in different genres, but we still have the same passion about the craft and how to get the book put together and how to get it out there. Now, in terms of putting this on, how many staff members did you have and how many volunteers did you have to help out?
Lord, we lost count.
Oh.
Our staff consists of the board, which is Vicki and myself. Alicia is our webmaster, who has done a fabulous job with the
website.
I mean, she's the bomb. And she can do anything at the drop of a hat. So, that poor girl was busy. I said, she's not getting paid enough. That's And then we had people helping find shepherds and to shepherd some of our speakers around. Some didn't require them, but there were some. You want to make sure, especially if they have handicaps or things like that. You want to make sure you have accommodations to where they're on the first floor, so they don't have to worry about getting around as much. And you have to think about routes. Where they can go down a ramp, where they can do, they have the right kind of room where the wheelchair can move around, or it's easier to use the walker.
And that's interesting because these are the kind of details that a lot of people don't realize. They come to a conference and everything's all put together, and they have no idea all these little details that you need to keep in mind.
Yeah. Now, Vicki and I are always on that because, especially me, because we're retired nurses.
Right, there you go.
But, it's just
helpful
to me, it's common sense. It's like, okay, this person has this disability. We need to think of what we need to do.
Right.
The other thing are special foods. I mean, that was something I had to consider on every menu, because you have people who are gluten-free, dairy-free, can't have eggs, who are vegan, who are vegetarian, who might eat a little of this, but they can't have this. Some that are all of it. We have a dear friend that she and her daughter can't eat most of the stuff that we have, so they bring their own food or provide it to staff so that they can eat. So you have to consider all of those things in any kind of setting. Just like a cafeteria would or something, you know, like at the college, because you get students coming in at OU that have problems like that. So you have to do the same thing in a big setting like this. You're dealing with, you know, over 200 people, about 225, 250, and so it's a big deal.
That was what I was going to ask, is what are numbers for the conference?
We rounded it to 225, but we also have people that come in the day of and sign up, and then, or they might sign up for one day. Some will do the whole conference, but altogether it seemed like there was about 225, 230.
Okay.
And then us. But
so this
I
is
would say we had
in
at
addition
least,
to the staff.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And we had, I would say we, out of all the group and people that came, we had probably about 50 volunteers.
That's amazing.
And I mean, they just give, you know, they just do a wonderful job, and they just give of the heart.
Yeah.
You know, they love the organization, they love the camaraderie, they love, you know, just coming here. It's like a family reunion, really, because a lot of these people have been coming every year. But we have a lot of new people this year, which is exciting. We've really been reaching out, trying to bring younger people into the fold, because they have ideas too that we need to consider. You always have to be moving forward, because if otherwise you're stuck.
You're stagnant.
I mean, life moves forward, technology moves forward. Thank God, because that helps with our presentations.
Have you-
Go on.
I was going to say, have you encountered any major curveballs, and what did you do to overcome them?
Yelled a lot? No.
Okay.
No,
It's a good way
actually,
to fix problems.
well, actually, everything seemed to be going too smoothly, and we were a little worried about that.
And that's the call. It just says everything
it's
fell apart.
probably a spam call I get all the time. But one of the things, right before we got here, we were waiting for the tote bags to stuff for all our patrons, and they weren't here. They weren't here the day we came here, Wednesday. They still hadn't arrived. We were in a panic. And finally, Vicki got a message that they had arrived at the house. So she went back to Norman to go get those.
Oh, wow.
I picked up the, it's teamwork.
Yeah.
Janetta, who is our editor this year, she and I ran and got the programs. Thank heavens they did them only 2 minutes away from here. And, you know, then we were like, okay, this is one biggie. Checks.
Oh.
We were low on checks. And our treasurer ordered them, you know, on the 18th. On the 19th, they crashed.
Oh, no.
And then they were printing them, trying to get them ready and get them here. They weren't coming. And she says, okay, this is how many I have. Do we prioritize the speakers? I said, absolutely. I said, well, tell everybody else it's in the mail, is what Vicki said. So I'm sitting there thinking, and then I had the aha moment. When you move into a new town and you open an account, they print temporary checks for you. And so you have them till they're printed. So I called the treasurer. We called the treasurer, and I said, I told her about that, and she said, oh my gosh. So she went to the bank, and they got them all printed out for her, and so we had the checks for everybody. So, I mean, that's you just have to be constantly thinking and not to panic. You know, you just think positive all the time in the event, but you always have a plan B and a plan C.
That's right.
In life, period. I keep telling everybody, always have a backup plan, because you never know what's going to go wrong. And so in this situation, you know, it was very easy. You know, I had plans for the bags. I said, okay, I know where we can get some blank bags. I said, Amazon is a 2-day, so you better tell me if you want me to order them tonight.
Yeah.
And if not, then I'll have a plan C. And so we were kind of going on that. But I said, but think positive. It'll get here. I know it will. And sure enough, it did. But I think when you bring negativity into the picture,
Yeah.
it
It seals
invites
off-
trouble.
yeah,
and
it
I
seals
think
off a lot of
everything
creative
starts
thinking.
going wrong.
Yeah.
And so, you have little things throughout the whole conference that pop up, but you try and rise above that, and you come up with a solution or find somebody who knows how to fix it,
Right.
and you move on.
So I hope when people go and attend a conference, they appreciate not only what they're experiencing, but the people that worked really hard to put it on.
And all the shadow work that goes on that they don't always recognize. Tell us a little bit about what you write.
Well, I do horror.
Okay.
I do thrillers.
Yay.
I do have some Norse in my body.
Okay.
But I'm a lot of Irish and a little Native American, so that becomes present in some of my work. I find that certain fun characters in my books end up being people I know, like my sister or, something like that. But I've done erotica. I've done poetry is what I started with. And but I've always written since I was young, especially horror. My poor mother thought I was doomed because from the time I was very young, and from the time I was very young, I was reading at college level.
Wow.
So and she finally just before high school, she finally got me to read the classics. And I was like, oh, okay. Of course, my favorite is Jane Eyre, which is very gloomy. But, I like the atmosphere. Wow. I like making people feel something when they read.
It's always interesting what inspired somebody initially to write and what the original thing was.
Yeah. And, I just love writing. And at a young age, I was doing writing and I was doing art. And I've continued to this day. When I'm setting down my book, and I don't do the arcs and all that kind of thing, I write in scenes.
Okay.
I did theater, so you think a certain way, and I also have a whole history of all of my characters beforehand, and I do like of the murder scenes and things.
Right.
I do.
You write the beats,
I paint
essentially.
them.
Yeah.
I paint the scenes. I do the portraits of my characters. So in my head, I know innately who they are and what they would do or not do, and that helps me.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different way of doing things, and that's what makes things beautiful, and why there are so many really good books out there.
What are a couple of your titles?
Well, The Bone Carver.
Okay.
Tower of Bone, House Without Windows, that type of thing.
And where are these available at?
They're not available yet.
Okay.
I'm doing. I'm wanting to get a couple of books completely done, so that when one goes out, I have a backup to come right away.
Okay.
And then maybe, luckily, have a little break. But you're always trying to write a little something every day, even. Even in those busiest days, it's like if you can sit down and write for 15 minutes, you've accomplished something.
Stop button share time.
Absolutely.
Now, you will share any links with Tiki Man and the Viking when they become available, correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I will.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Well, thank
Dion
you.
Mayes-Burnett, Conference Coordinator for OWFI 24, dear friend and writer as well. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you. You guys are the awesomest.
Oh, I love hearing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.